Today, we're diving into a story about how one quiet, unassuming stranger can change an entire town, and how they can reveal the masterpieces hidden inside the most ordinary lives.
We're pulling this all from the novel Theo of Golden by Allen Levi. It's a story that really gets you thinking about the true power of a gift. Not some big, flashy gesture, but something small, something quiet, and something deeply, deeply personal.
So I want you to just imagine this for a second. What if a stranger showed up in your town? No big announcement, no fanfare, just a quiet, almost mysterious mission that, bit by bit, starts to change everything. Well, that's exactly where our story kicks off.
Okay, let's meet our main character, Theo. He's an 86-year-old man who just arrives in the small town of Golden. He doesn't have a schedule, no meetings to get to, no one he knows. For all anyone can tell, he's a total blank slate.
On his very first day, Theo wanders into this coffee shop called the Chalice. But it's not the coffee or the pastries that grab his attention, it's the walls. They are absolutely covered with 92 incredible pencil portraits of the locals, all drawn by the very same artist. So he asks about them and finds out the artist is a local guy named Asher Glisson. And yeah, all the portraits are for sale. But here's the weird part. Almost nobody has actually bought their own. And this little mystery sparks a kind of, a silly idea in Theo's mind, a curious mission that's about to take over his life. See, Theo doesn't just wing it. Oh no, he comes up with this very precise, four-step process for what he calls his bestowals. This isn't just about handing someone a picture, it's a whole ceremony. He buys the art, tracks down the person's address, writes this formal, beautiful, handwritten invitation, and then arranges to meet them at a local fountain to present them with their own portrait. And the way he phrases these letters is so important. It's gentle, it's formal, and it's definitely a little mysterious. I mean, can you imagine getting a letter like this out of the blue? You'd be intrigued for sure, but maybe a little suspicious too, which is pretty much how the whole town reacts. But with every single one of these bestowals, this quiet old man starts to weave himself right into the fabric of Golden. He stops being just some guy watching from the sidelines. He becomes a connection point, sparking some of the most unlikely friendships you can imagine. I mean, he befriends people from literally every walk of life. You've got Tony, this gruff, cynical bookstore owner, a Vietnam vet who's got this tough shell hiding what he's been through. And then you have Ellen, a homeless woman whose stories can fly off into these fantastical worlds, but who also has these moments of just stunning beauty and truth. And all Theo does is listen. But by just listening, he uncovers these incredibly deep personal stories. Ellen, in one of these clear moments, tells him about the happiest day of her life, with this poetic detail. It just reveals this profound humanity that so many of us would normally just walk right past. So, for almost a year, this project continues. Theo becomes this beloved, if still very mysterious, figure in town. But just as he's really settling in, the story takes a tragic turn. And the big mystery, who Theo really is about to be solved in the most heartbreaking way possible. One night, right near his apartment, Theo sees his friends Simone and Ellen being brutally attacked. He rushes to try and get help, but in the chaos, he trips and falls from his balcony. He dies right there on the sidewalk below. The gentle man who brought so much quiet light to Golden is gone in a moment of senseless violence. The very next day, the local paper runs his obituary, and the entire town is just stunned. The quiet, unassuming man they only knew as Theo was actually Gémez Theophilus Zalaves, a world-famous, notoriously reclusive artist known to the entire art world by one name, Zala. And right then, the last, biggest piece of the puzzle just slams into place. Decades ago, back in Madrid, a young Zila fell in love with an art student who was from Golden. She came home pregnant and ended up having a son. That son grew up to be Asher Glisson, the very artist whose portraits Theo had spent the last year of his life giving away. After Theo's death, Asher finds a package. Inside is his own portrait, drawn by Theo, and a letter that explains absolutely everything, and ends with the words he never got to say out loud. I love you, my son. Theo didn't just come to Golden to give away art. He came to connect with a son he never knew, through the art his son created. But here's the thing. Theo's story doesn't end there. His real legacy isn't about his fame or even his tragic death.
It's about the quiet seeds of kindness he planted all over that town. The ripple effect from his actions is almost immediate. A reporter, inspired by it all, writes a book about the bestowals. Allen starts a thriving little art business of her own. The whole community rallies together to buy Simone a new cello to replace the one destroyed in the attack. His quiet generosity became a model for everyone else to follow. In that final letter to Asher, Theo basically spelled out his whole philosophy. After a lifetime of chasing fame, he finally figured out that the greatest purpose of art wasn't to bring glory to the artist, but to give dignity and beauty to its subject. To bestow, in his words, a crown of beauty instead of ashes.
And that really leaves us with a powerful question, doesn't it? Theo's story proves you don't have to be some world-famous artist to create a masterpiece. Sometimes the greatest works of art aren't things we make with our hands, but the connections we make with other people. It just makes you wonder, what kind of beauty is waiting to be revealed right where you are?